Oh, we've got Matt in the house. Brother, how are you? Slayer. What about Megadeth? Pantera. Sepultura. Exodus. Manoj Roy from Mumbai is in the house, all the way across multiple oceans. You guys know how India Pale Ale started, right? IPAs, it's a beer, it's very hoppy. Well, when they were sailing to get spices and string and beads from India, they needed a beer that could last the 4 to 5 month voyage. So they brewed it with more hops so it didn't have to be refrigerated. Hence, India Pale Ale was a beer that went to India. Sharon Markel, Brooklyn in the house. Love the East Coast guys. Batman, been studying to get my CDL permit. Good for you, brother. You're going to get it. We are good today. We are talking about a subject of trust. Tell me, guys, what you think trust is. You've been busy studying, doing your grind, being on your purpose, Batman. Good for you. Good for you. Today is Friday. It is 72 degrees. I just did a bike ride. Mysterio from Canada is in the house. Good to have you, brother. I just got done with a 24-hour fast. You can tell my face kind of tightens up when you start fasting. It's so good for your deal. Downer is backpacking in the Michigan woods. Is that northern Michigan? God, Michigan's got some beautiful, beautiful areas. So anyhow, Emery's in the house. Greetings to you. Happy to have you. Ed Hutch. Ed, good to have you. Secret Face. Secret Face is in the house, and Ed's in the house. I don't know if Ed or Secret Face have been here before, but welcome. Bull Left back in the mix. Northern part. That's what I figured. Northern part. Boy, does it get cold. Let's bust into this. Let's talk about this. Trust can never be restored once it is broken. That doesn't matter if it's a woman, a family member, a friend, a coworker, a boss. Once that trust is broken, it can never be restored. Do you agree or not? Z Foster is in the house. Now, John Boston, all the way from Boston. He's got a packet of Twizzlers and a bad attitude he's carrying. Good to have you. All right, so here's the deal. It can never be restored. And you could go through as much therapy and consultative psychology directives with your therapist. It can never be restored. And if you take an X back that monkey branched on you, or it was hypergamous, how can you ever trust that it will never happen again? It happened once, it'll happen again. Now let's talk about what happens after the fact. So after the fact, you find out, let's talk about relationships. You find out she monkey branched. She got with her boss. This happens all the time. And you find out, you're like, holy shit, man, how long has this been going on? How long has this been going on? But what about the unconscious trust before you find out that the trust was broken, right? There's a period of time where you kind of, people know instinctivly what's going on, right? It can never be restored. It can never be restored once it's broken. And that's reality. Ed Hutch, my girl's 51. She's been sleeping with a 35-year-old dude at her home down now. That happens. That happened to me. My wife was 44, hanging out with a 30-year-old guy, Steve from sales. Go figure. Same thing. Once someone breaks that, says Z Foster, he can't be fixed as long as a lawn has been thoroughly crossed over. As a line, yes. Once trust is gone, it's game over for me. Maybe I'm too extreme with that, but if I can't trust, there's nothing more. It's wasteland, says Mr. Bull. Relationship, much like beauty, can never be restored. Well said, Matt. Yes, trust cannot be restored. That's the reason you chose right people. You can judge your nature if you be with them for a year, says Manage. Well said. Define trust. Says Mysterio, hypervigilance is a killer. That spider sense trigger kicks in, but you don't have the proof. I believe that there's an unconscious trust before. Then there's a conscious trust where you find out that somebody, went behind your back or did something, betrayed you in some sort of manner. And then there's that post conscious trust where you can never trust again, that is why men believe that a woman will come back. She thought the grass was greener. She got with a guy for 6 months. The guy kicks her out, realizes that she loves the first guy, but she's only taken the first guy back. Let's say it's her husband, because he's plan B and he'll stick around. He's got a lot in investment. See, women intuitively know the investment men make. We make a much more deeper investment into our relationship. Hence, that is why they like to come back. And a lot of guys take their exes back. And a lot of guys live in this fantastical worldview that she's changed because she realized now the grass wasn't greener. No, that patch that she went to that was a shade of green turned brown, and then she's going to come back to you, gas up, fill her tank, and then do it again. Simple as that. Ed Hutch, the 8-year-old is a product of artificial insemination. He shot himself in the heart. She is so cold. Wow. Wow. Woman comes back, it's until she finds someone else. It isn't to be with you, hence why she left. She comes back as a placeholder for her next adventure. And most men will take a woman back if it's been quite some time. Most. I've seen it. My brother-in-law did it 3 times with my sister. I've seen it countless times with neighbors and friends. It's ridiculous. You got to stand up. If she comes back, once that trust is broken, how can you ever trust again? Right? Rad is a genuine dude looking out for other men, and we appreciate you. Thanks, brother. Hope you're doing well out there. So she is out of her mind trying to get pregnant, aging with her frozen egg. She's trying to get that 35-year-old. Jeez. That we call, Ed, delusion syndrome. Delusion syndrome. The father of the last kid killed himself. Jeez. These stories, they're almost like, they seem so unbelievable, but they're so real. They're happening everywhere. Lone Wolf in the house, evening to you. Stay Strong is in the house. Hi, Rad, MGTOW brothers. Boundaries are not enough. No. And here's what you have to remember. You have to remember this. And this is a very hard truth pill to swallow. She's not yours. It's just your turn. Once she's gone, never let her come back. Never, says Red Mind Man. Good to have you 100%. You cannot, a logical man cannot trust. And if you do take her back, you're going to worry all day long. You're going to stress yourself out, get anxious, get angry, and be depressed literally every second of every minute of every hour of every day. Because you know she did it once, and you know she's going to do it again. Now, trust in relationships and family relationships. What if your sister breaks your trust, throws you under the bus? Can you ever trust her again? No. Once trust is gone, it can never be restored. It's broken. If you know the nature of the person, you won't mind even if he breaks your trust. You can judge who is bound to break your trust. Yeah, I think you can if you know that person. Trust is a fragile thing. For me, my mantra is, you break my trust, we're done. We're done. Trust is something earned and respected and maintained to keep. And once any of those go the other way, we're done. Lone Wolf, trust comes by foot, it leaves by horse. Very well said. I like that. Once she cheats, she pays. Well said, Mr. Matt. Hiking in the backwoods of Michigan. As I've said before, your exam doesn't reach out to you because she misses or loves you. She needs a Beta Bucks Deluxe to get her out of her issues. You're just a placeholder, Jerome, right? You're just plan B or plan C, and now she's filling her tank. She's gonna, it's like, you're gonna get, what's the word? You're gonna have a rest day, and then once you rested and ready to go, off to the next man. Off to the next mystery. Once a cheater, always a cheater. Would you agree? Mysterio, man has deeper trust in women due to man not having an abundance mindset. Well said. Women always have visible orbiters. Well said. Right there is the key. Men do not have an abundance mindset. Men suffer from one-itis at 9-1 versus women. Women know just by punching their thumb in their phone, they can have 15 orbiters over within 10 minutes, fighting for her attention, regardless of what she looks like. So, well said, Mysterio. Abundance mindset is why men, a lack of it, is why men take cheaters back. So simple as that. Your ex not exam. There you go. Let's be clear again, just in case. Never go back to an ex. Let's be clear. Never deal with people that betrayed your trust. It could be a good friend. It could be a family member, a neighbor, a coworker. It'll never be around. Consider how many women destroy good relationships, says Carl, because she feels instead of listening or recognizing facts, or God forbid, her accountability actions. Carl, well said, brother. Always, always well said. Facts over feelings for men, feelings over facts for women and liberals. It doesn't matter yesterday. It doesn't matter tomorrow. It only matters in this exact single moment. If you're not giving her an attention, she might bounce. My ex, she tried a monkey branch but was cheating on him. With me, unknown to me or him, she fell pregnant. Other guy bailed. She comes back to me. I didn't know. Now, who got you? It sounds like he got her pregnant. So what'd you do? Rad, I wouldn't trust my ex to tell me what time it is. You know, that's interesting. I don't trust anything about my ex. I don't even trust like the feelings that you look back in the early years and you're like, man, did she really mean that? Or was that just bullshit? You know, once you start really uncovering and untucking the sheets and you realize what's under the covers was potentially complete falsehood. I mean, there's so many things that go back down and part of me just quit thinking about it. But the reality is this, you're absolutely right. If she said to me, hey, we're good, my last goes back and forth. He can just stay wherever he wants. I wouldn't even trust her for saying that. I would want it in writing through an attorney that says that. I mean, that's where my trust is. This woman gave birth my 3 biological kids, and I could trust her about as much as I trust standing on a sheet of toilet paper over a bridge. I think, what a weird analogy I just made. Trust, very much like respect, is earned. Well said, Jerome Markel. Well said, all the way from Beastie Boy Town. Red Mind Man, her coming back means resources are low, not that she cares, or the guy kicked her out. But well said. They come back because the dude dumped her. Would you get with a woman? Let's just talk about it. Let's say she's hot as hell. She's married. Rule number one, never, ever, 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 ever get with a married woman. Ever. That is dangerous, big time. Dangerous. That dude could snap and you could be dead in an instant. But if you find out later that wouldn't that just make you disgusted? Like, this chick is like literally garbage on the inside. If you have that bad of a marriage, leave the marriage. Simple as that. Don't cheat. There's a reason she cheats. She has resources coming in. She can go find a little playground on the side. Now, are men just as good? I've talked to gals whose husbands cheat too, and I don't agree with that crap either. Again, if you're unhappy in a relationship, leave the relationship. Men or women. Men that cheat will always cheat. Women that cheat will always cheat. It's as simple as that. I don't hold men unaccountable. I hold them accountable as well. Now, I never, ever, I always made the commitment I would always be faithful. Now, did I look at pretty women? Sure, I'm a man. But I never, ever made any sort of move or any sort of potentiality of getting with someone as a married man. And I can hold my head high for that. But there's a lot of guys that can't. Trust and respect are very close indeed. David Cummings in the house. Once anyone breaks your trust, you need to act like these people are dead. Yep, you can't ever get that trust back. Doesn't matter, man or woman. Women should heed Thomas Sowell's more. Emotions are a useful servant, but a terrible master. Ooh, I like that, Carl. Well said. Well said. She is a cheater for sure. Once a cheater, always a cheater, Ed. You run away. I met the babysitter at the bike store on Tuesday. She asked me, are you the guy who took her out to a show last summer? I believe that Disney princess syndrome in women are the cause in loss of trust. Well, absolutely. Because once they're bored of you, because they're a princess, they can go find a guy to worship her on the outside. Well said, Matt. Does it sadden that your sister and ex are both restless and can be so till 60 something when age catches up with them? They can't. It's just, you're watching when you see these, my sister and my ex, Mysterio, they're living in this fantasy world, but they're getting older and older and older with lesser and lesser options. Right? John Boston, women who go behind your back and plan divorces are usually the ones who have cheated or are cheating. Well said. I completely agree with that statement 100%. If they're planning it behind your back, they've done other things. I have a friend whom I know him personally very well, though he is a good man. He avoids being around me since I know him, so I'm always ready to help him, even if he breaks your trust. Well, you can help people, but if they break your trust, I would never, ever give them an opportunity again. I couldn't do it. No way. Real men are conservative. If you're liberal, you follow and trust the female. Yeah, I've said that over and over. A real man votes conservative. A liberal man votes as if it follows a female lead, follows basically feelings. Men are not geared to follow feelings, guys. We're geared to build and create, which is the conservative foundation. Now, are the conservative folks in our government conservative as they once were? No. But that's reality. Real men vote conservative. Well said, Jerome. I don't even trust my own mother. She's still a female, and her nature is universal. I think you're not alone. Rad, that's the betrayal that you are feeling, man. Oh, gosh. Probably. Who hurt you? My wife, soon-to-be ex, only hits me up for money. She needs $500 for new glasses. I sent her $200, and she called to argue with me and disrespect me. Well, you know what to do. Don't quit. We talked about that. You got to hold your boundaries and you say no. See, a woman that holds the kids hostage until you pay or do something is a woman that'll continue to do that regardless of the circumstances. So you have to teach them early. It's like a dog. If you give the dog a treat every time the dog does something good or evil, or good or bad, you're not helping the dog. You're not training the dog, right? C. Foster C. Child is 100% mine, but she was trying to monkey branches. Oh, okay. She fell pregnant sleeping with me, but tried to make it work with the other guy. I'm not sure if she tried to trap him. Gotcha. Okay. That makes more sense. Unbelievable. How about some of these Tinder profiles where the chick's like 6 months pregnant with 3 other kids? She's 23 years old, looking for a man. What guy would get with that? You know what? Tons. Don't cheat. Keep your dignity and leave before cheating. Be different. Well said, Bull. A real man does not cheat. Once they burn the bridge, says the homie, all the way from the East Coast you're standing on, or they destroy your trust, you remember their actions, you dismiss them from your life. 86 them. Well said, well said, well said, Brandon. Boston got it right. Yes, he did. If you trust a pretty girl, she is hiding an ugly secret. Ooh. Ooh. Who's going to make that t-shirt? Or that bumper sticker? A pretty girl that's really pretty on the outside, like gorgeously pretty, something is ugly on the inside. Rad, I had a woman who's 45 tell me how it's tough being an aging female. I thought to myself, the Wall is undefeated. I would love to play for the Wall because we would win every game. Think about that. The Wall is undefeated. The Wall will always be undefeated. Death is undefeated. Wall and death. Get it? Yeah, absolutely, John. I had to cut out every one of my in-laws, around 30 people, even the ones I was friends with. Read my man. And then, trust goes to everybody. Goes to everybody, men and women, brothers, sisters, family, mothers, fathers, uncles, aunts, coworkers, neighbors, best friends can betray. One of my best friends betrayed me. We've been friends 30 years. Happened 3 years ago. Haven't talked to him since. Yeah, it sucks because we had a lot of memories. But you know what? Again, you live by principles and morals. They all had this collectivist mindset. So after several backstabbed me and lied, I couldn't trust anyone because I couldn't know who had my back or not. And that is, you just hit it on the head. You will never know. You'll walk on eggshells just to who's got your back or who's not. I mean, really, the only one you should trust is yourself. And guys that will go the distance, that will be there for you. But even then, that could happen. And that's where we get back to validation. You have to internally validate yourself that you are the most important and the operant power in your universe. You pull yourself up. You rebel against defeat. And you know what? You are going to be let down by some of the most intimate people in your life, best friends, family members. They're going to let you down. Just be prepared. It's not if, it's when. Well said, Red Mind. Black Earth is in the house. Good to see you, brother. I saw you the other day on MGTOW Values channel. Where was it? It might have been that, or Saifu's channel. Can't remember. Random Dude 22, happy Friday to you. We got shout out here. We got no man should ever vote Democrat. Oh my gosh. Guys, look at the Democrat Party. Look at them. Are they real men? Do you want to associate with guys that play victim card? The guys that literally put feminists on pedestals? That's the reality. Real men build and create. Weak men take. I just laid it down. Thank you, brother. If she's female and she's ever voted, she's a feminist for the rest of her life. Don't trust her. Mine was a conservative. Well, I thought she was. And then after the divorce, she's become this complete alphabet soup, liberal, crazy, male, the patriarchy, toxic masculinity, you name it. It's almost as though they get that book, Eat, Pray, Love, and it just turns them into the next victim, blamer. And it's ridiculous. But you're right. My mother's still wanting validation, and she's in my way, and I can't escape fast while she keeps, and I can't fast while she keeps feeding me. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, it happens everywhere. Happens everywhere. Families, friendships. He's a good person. He was the guy who made me his friend just based on my nature, not with what I can provide. He is behaving in a wrong manner, who has influenced him. Well, if any dude, like I said, I had a really good friend, my best friend of all time, betrayed me, and we're done. You have to literally, who said it? Put the stick, make a line in the sand. If they cross it, you cannot go back. If a female tells you her age, don't trust her because she's capable of anything. Whew. Laying it down to Chinatown. I don't trust women nowadays, and I know women says the same thing. Overall, lonely. Don't feel afraid being alone. Well, loneliness is external validation. Being alone is great. I mean, I go up in the mountains for 6 hours alone. Love it. Just me and my bike and the earth. You have to learn the skill of being alone around people and realizing that all you have to do is internally validate yourself. And you got to be your friend again. You got to love yourself again. And that's where, men who are coming to this awareness are becoming better. They're internally validating themselves. They're getting to be their best friend again. Think about when you guys were little, 4, 5, 6 years old, playing in the sand and the dirt with your Tonka trucks and climbing trees and having fun, just being by yourself. That's the stage where life is extremely beautiful, but we have to literally realize that those feelings and those excitements we created, and we can get back to there. I had a friend who tried to move in on a woman I knew. First meeting her, he is wrestling and throwing water on her. She laughs. I didn't know what to do. He tried to gaslight me about it. Yeah. But I've seen a lot of friendships disintegrate over moving in on women. Never mind in the house. In the end, learn to trust and depend on know about yourself. Well said. Well said. Well said. Never mind. Black Earth, I have his channel. Saifu. Was it Saifu or MGTOW values? Can't remember where I saw you. Brian, lion in the house. I lost interest in dating because my mom slept with 4 men. Now she is with her 5th guy. I don't feel comfortable around girls because of the, you know what? Too many of them cheating and backstab. Well, it just comes down to trust. So regardless if they're cheating or backstabbing, it comes down to trust. Can you trust them? It's really difficult to have trust in today's world. And it goes both ways, men and women. But trust is earned. Trust is earned. Absolutely. Democrats are simps and white knights. I would agree 100%. True monk equals discipline without sex. Yes, and now think about having sex for a second. Now, sex is our biological impulse. That is who we are as men. The reality is, when you think about sex, you think about, hopefully, a woman, a beautiful woman. You're giving power to the female creation. When people go monk mode or retain their semen, no fap, they're now focusing on themselves. Hence, making themselves even more of a superpower than they once were, because now their focus is 100% on them. Well said, Black Earth. Democrats are complete simps. Don't forget to hit the like button. It helps spread you are not alone in your thinking or experience. Thanks, Carl. Why is the patriarchy seen as a bad thing when historically females expect that men provide? It's called the liberal feminist agenda movement, a subset of the communist movement, Marxism, all sorts of crap. It's trying to rewrite the narrative of tens of thousands of years that now the woman is the future. We know that's wrong. Saifu is in the house. Good to have you, brother. I hadn't seen the last 2. Well, I watched you the other day on yours with your red glasses. Saifu's got some fun stuff, guys. Check his channel out. He's got some good stuff. He is, I don't know. I think you're what, in your 60s or late 50s? Look good for your age, so. I have a news update. My waifu is in Texas. Well, I'm happy that you're going to be happy soon. Men who need to do their own stuff and improve their self financially, physically, spiritually, and always. And if a woman wants to tag along, cool, and she don't, cool, you can't live with your life for. A woman, says Volcano Nation. I would agree with that, and I wish that we as men would understand that a woman should be a complement. A woman doesn't want to be the center of your life. She wants you to chasing excellence and being on purpose to be the center. She would love to be the complement. She wants to be the co-pilot. And the whole reality is the man was the pilot, the woman was the co-pilot. It is completely shifted to now the woman's the pilot, the man's co-pilot. Why aren't relationships working? Because of that dynamic. Men need to do their own stuff and improve their self, just like Volcano Nation said. Ed Hutch, I found a nice child's mountain bike Brody with triple butted chromoly. Shimano Dior, great, I got Dior. Fro, the 8-year-old, when she's big enough, oh, give it to her. I put a Tioga Fat 66 on the Mac and pink pedal. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that sounds like a great ride. My daughter had a mountain bike when she was 8 years old. My boys did. I'd take my son riding with me all the time. So perfect. Get out. Be with them. Be with your kin. Fernando Makiyama, hello. Good to have you again, brother. Hope you're well. I love being alone because if anything goes wrong, I know who to blame. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? Being alone is wonderful. It's nothing to be scared about. Society has told you that being alone is a nightmare, that no one should be alone. Who hurt you? Who's going to take care of you? Well, when I get older and I can't function anymore, I'm getting in a canoe. It'll be me and Wilson from Castaway in the canoe, and we're just going to canoe to Hawaii. And if I make it, I win. And if I don't, I still win. Thank you, Don't Quit. Gents, for what it's worth, look into Stoicism. It is helping me cope. I cook and listen to podcasts about manly philosophy. It's how I got through those black alone days. Some of the greatest philosophers were stoic, alone people. Paul of the Corinthians was not married. He preached against it. He preached those that were married should stay married, which I agree with, and those that were single should stay single. It was too difficult to maintain a marriage, even 2,100 years ago. So some of the greatest men were just like what you're talking about, Redmine. Preach, brother, preach. You must be happy with who you see in the mirror. What wonderful words of wisdom, Saifu. You are your own worst enemy or your own best friend. Choose today whom you will serve. You cannot serve two masters. That is a biblical scripture. Sorry, I have to leave today, says Manage. I have a blood test. Take care. You as well. Happy that you are here today, all the way from Mumbai. Stoic philosophy is awesome. It is very well. It can help men to be better. I hit the rail track in the village this morning and went down hard. I am so much pain. I rode today. Didn't fall, but nurse those wounds, ice, and Advil. Or if you cannot take Advil, just ice it. Keep that inflammation down. Tell me where you're from again, Ed. C. Foster Z. Being on my own is the best feeling. It's addictive, very much so. Peace. Home is as I left it. Can enjoy what I like without judgment or complaint. I'm not jumping after anyone. Well said. Love being alone. Nothing wrong with it, guys. Don't be shamed into society's thinking that something's wrong with you. 95% of females are not pure, and yet they will still try to sell men that lie. They sell themselves as born-again virgins. It's not hard in today's modern landscape, Jerome Markel, to realize what most women are like. Now, there's a 1% to 2% that are not like that. Most are. Brad, can I ask how you're going to handle the issues you had with your ex when your kids get older? They know the family fell apart, as do my kids. They want to love both parents, but want answers. The only thing I've said, John, is your mother and I, we grew apart and we saw differently. I've never explained anything else. I take the high road at all times. And I tell my boys, you need to be very, very careful when you enter into a marriage and have children. If you do that. These are the risks. These are the rewards. And kids of divorce will experience divorce like their parents. So they love both parents. Absolutely. They want both parents to be happy, but they're still, maybe when they're 40, we'll talk about, hey, by then my son will probably be married and miserable as hell. So we can at least understand one another. So that's probably what it's going to be. But for now, I just take the, we just grew apart. But they know different. They kind of know different in certain ways. I have both MGTOW values and MGTOW absolute knowledge, Rat. Okay, I saw you on one of them. You cannot live your life and try to make women happy. You will never be happy. You're the man she's supposed to be with your program, not the other way around. Oh, I wish most women would get that through their head. That would probably be a very much more easier to do. Absolutely. That is why red pill wisdom is hated. It is a philosophy of being selfish first, then sharing if you want. Saifu laying it down to Chinatown. That's right. It's a selfish in a way that's not like selfish conceitedness. It's basically, hey, I'm more important right now. And when my purpose is able to share, then I'm going to share it 100%. What were your grandmothers like? Co-pilots. They were not divorced. They both died in 50-year marriages. I think there were 60 years. But it was a different kind of love, Mysterio. It was more of a respect. I don't think they really were romantically in love. They knew their place and they knew their respect. And so there's a love that was garnered by the respect and the trust they each had in each other, which I think is better than romantic love, to tell you the truth. That will endure long periods of time versus romantic that just dies off when the dopamine wears off. If you do no fat for a little, it's okay, but men are supposed to bust and it's healthy. I would agree. Moderation in all things. That's it. Moderation in all things. Don't be an addict to anything. Damn, son, thanks for the shout out. I am 65. Yeah, I don't think you look 60. I was thinking like late 50s, 56, 57. Anyhow, keep on with your live streams. Come to Massachusetts. The patriarchy dies after the marriage license is signed. Now your wife is an agent of the state. Oh, I think there's only 2 states where you have to prove it's a fault divorce. But yeah, unfortunately, Utah red state is like that as well. But they're changing laws. But the blue states, forget it. They're all agents of the states. If the females have the privilege to kill a man's child, why is she entitled for a man to pay child support if she keeps the baby? It's called the Duluth model. It's called feminism. It's called victim status. Remember, every woman that divorces her husband, outside of like if he's a douchebag, if she just divorces or whatever, breaks up through hypergamy or is bored, is uses the state to enforce her wants and needs and demands. It's as simple as that. And you don't want to go through a divorce. John does speak the truth. Dead Truth or Walking, check out the YouTube video entitled How to Practice Stoicism in Daily Life. It's a great listen. I'll have to check that out. In our modern day society, we can't have 2 captains. On Star Trek, there is only one Captain Kirk. Have you seen a country with 2 presidents? Have you seen a company run by 2 CEOs? Well said. Have you seen a band with 2 lead singers? Now, you can have 2 singers. One was always going to be the lead singer. But, well, I guess if you go to the Beatles, I was always a fan of John Lennon singing. I was never a fan of Paul McCartney singing. I always liked John Lennon. But with John Lennon, I mean, he didn't play guitar. So he was probably more of the singer, right, than Paul McCartney. But there was a struggle there as well. Jerron Markel, here is the true definition of a high-value man. Say no to the stinky axe wound between her leg. Yes, but however, that is a very difficult thing for most men to say no to. But you're right. Too many guys my age are cry bullies. I don't know what to say. I had an ex-friend who tried to gaslight. People like him are a good example of how social justice warriors act. Again, it goes to feelings over facts. Men are now emotional. A lot of these dudes in the last 30 years are emotional. They've been raised by emotional caretakers. So who wouldn't expect them? That's why they're reaching out to guys and saying, look, nothing's working. They can't get girlfriends because they're feminine. What do? Some reach out. Some are trying to find, what can I do? Some have grown up with very abusive mothers. Masculinity has died. And now, now people are standing up and making an impact. Look at the Gillette commercial. Look at all these woke corporations suffering by catering to that emotional side of a man. Bullshit. No, men are toxic. Check out Canadian Club advertisements. Your dad, Canadian Club. That was masculine in the 70s, right? Canadian. John Wayne, Stetson Man. Where are those people now? Alone is nothing. When I moved out from home, I did not feel alone. Some of my friends that did the same thing told me they felt alone. You're alone when you feel external validation is important. See you later, Matt. Have fun. Mr. Gray is in the house. Good to have you again. I am trying the 48-hour fast Sunday to Tuesday. You can do it. You can do it. And if you get to the point, just drink water and black coffee. The first 24 hours, once you're done with that, it's a cakewalk. What did you tell your kids when you got divorced? Did you tell them that both of you decided to divorce, or the truth? Well, the older 2 kind of knew that mom was wanted out. And I told the youngest, I said, I'm not a big fan of the divorce, but we have to respect your mother. Your mother doesn't want to be married, doesn't want us to all live together as a family. And I didn't blame it. I just said, we have to respect her wishes. And you can't make anyone love you. You can't make anyone stay with you. You can't make anyone continue to be married if they don't want to. And that's the cold hard truth. That's what I said. Chris from Canada, the #1 lumber broker in the house, John Rambo, they drew first blood, not me. It's funny you say that. My son and I, we watched all the Rambos, even the new ones that just came out. Well, the one came out last year. And we watched all of the Rockies. If you guys have boys, watch Rambo and Rockies. Well said, Chris. What's the best water to drink when fasting? It doesn't matter. Hot water is actually pretty good with tea. That I've realized helps a lot. Just like that takes away the hunger and the appetite. Lisa Smith is in the house, all the way from Kansas City. All right. I am from Ottawa. There you go. My son is 17 now, and I haven't seen him in 5 years. She tells me that she has decided that he does not want to talk to me. Well, you just stay stoic and you stay strong, and eventually he will reach out. He has to. Right now, he's an emotional whirlwind. That's the problem. And have a coffee crisp or a Mr. Big this weekend for me. What factor can you pinpoint that saw your wife change in your view, or was it life? Late 30s is when I saw it. When the kids kind of realized they didn't need her as much as they once did. They didn't rely on her. They were more independent as children. They didn't need her for the bathroom or to take a shower, to get ready for school. That's when I noticed it. The mommy switch began to turn off, and it turned into a different switch. Black Earth. I will have to check out that video. Don't quit, persevere. I've been married twice with women whose parents stay married, but in modern life, women feel it's okay to divorce. Divorce is part of marriage now. You know, that's just the reality. Divorce is part of the marriage vows subconsciously. They know they can get out. It's easy. Recon Plane will find them. Past 100 years ago, people were together out of necessity and survival. Yes, they were. And to gather resources together. And that's why they had 15 kids. They had to till the land and take care of the cows. Romantic love should be called dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin love. It's just a chemical interaction that you get if you eat a great hamburger. Love is just a chemical addiction to somebody. That's it. It's my view. Until the archaic family laws change, stay single. The system is completely wrecked at this point. We have to think it's not on purpose. There is something fishy about it all, that's for sure. Well said, Chris. Jill Sentenza from France, living in Thailand. Female nature is the same everywhere. Keep spreading your knowledge. MGTOW is freedom. Chili Sentenza from France. Good to have you. Tell us what Thailand women are like, because we hear that all the Thai women love Americans, and is that true or not? FW Trell in the house. My wife slept with a coworker. She said she was sorry. Should I take her back? No. No. It doesn't matter if you have kids. Doesn't matter if you have kids. She'll do it again. And you disrespect yourself. At a 50%, more than 50% failure rate, marriage is like playing Russian roulette, except half the cylinders loaded. Who in their right mind would do that? Out of the 6 chambers, 3 of them have gunpowder. You have kids, you do not take her back. And that I'm sorry to say that it won't work. She cheated, she'll do it again. The kids will be off worse because she'll leave again. No. We had another guy in here that had the same issue. And it's not the fact that we don't want your family to be together. It's the reality of what the situation is. There's zero trust. It's broken. She'll do it again. All she's doing, if she came back, is she's filling up her tank again, ready to do it again. Once a cheater, always a cheater. And look, a tiger won't ever change its stripes. So her stripes are already showing you that she'll do it again. And it's sad. It's really sad when you have to really think about it like that. Ed Hutch, praying that you get to see your son. So do we. There should be a mandated father-son time. You know who else, Ed? Trong, which he comes a lot. He's a mechanic on the East Coast. He has 3 boys, and he hasn't talked to them, I think, almost a year. And he's holding in there. So we can all do it. I've had alienation as well. I had an audition for this interview on a female liberal podcast and was turned down due to being too RP. So I surmise they'll just get beta cuck sims to sell them the fantasy. Of course. That's like the easiest road to go down. A woman that's called on the carpet is not a woman that wants to talk. A woman that's praised and elevated is someone that'll talk. Cheaper groceries. If all women maintained a healthy weight and only men got obese, we should be ashamed. We should be shamed to no end because so many women are huge. We have a fat acceptance move. Oh, it's disgusting. There's nothing positive about fat. It's destructive to the body. It is not attractive at all. It is not, people that were fat in the 1500s showed how rich they were. Fat people could afford tons of stuff. That was a basic, it is basically how rich, to show other people how rich they were, how fat they were. Skinny people were poor. They were paupers. They were peasants. Even then, think about the delusion back then. Rich people were fat. 3 presidents with Dr. Jill. There you go. What a shit show on the border. How about the Harris going to the border? I mean, she can't even get her job done. From Liverpool, Oliver PM, again, in the name of the Beatles. Have you walked across that crosswalk? Good to have you all the way from the pond. It's great to have everybody in the house. If a female would give up one of her vital organs in order for you to live, that's a spectacular female. I would agree. I think it's pretty rare, though. You think you'd have better chances jumping on an a spaceship tonight on the corner by 7-Eleven and Taco Bell. Mysterio, you don't think your ex would adopt kids with a new guy, do you? I don't think so. She'd be really dumb if she did. Contrary to popular beliefs, female have the rights and men don't. Facts. Have you been to every state in the U.S.? I have been to every state, even Alaska and Hawaii, multiple times. Alaska is gorgeous. Amazing. But very weird, too. Lots of poverty. I don't want to, the Eskimos, I don't know what their name is, but the Eskimo tribe has a lot of poverty. And look it up. They get a lot of money from the Exxon and the oil industry. And it's just really sad what happens to them. Not all of them, but a significant amount. I had to do healthcare up there, and I dealt with a lot of sick, diabetic, young Eskimo tribes. They might be called Eskimo. I don't know. Indigenous to Alaska, who knows? Whatever the term is. Not using it as degrading. That's just what I remember them. I formed an emotional attachment to my waifu. You know what, Saifu? As long as you're happy and have peace in your life and you enjoy being you, go for it. I respect everyone that respects themselves. John Boston, a smart woman builds a family. A foolish woman tears her family apart with her own 2 hands. Actually, with the stroke of a pen. John Hancock. A phone call. The simple things of life. Yes, talk to Trong, and there's many men that have been in here. I mean, look at Don't Quit Persevere. He's in here. His baby mama lives somewhere in the Caribbean. I think it's Trinidad. I can't remember. And she is just basically, and he's on the East Coast. I think he's Jersey. And she's holding the kid hostage. That's what they do. It's not you. Remember this. This is not you. This is just a model, especially in Canada, in the UK, and the US, where Western feminized thinking is prevalent. All I can say is just work on yourself. You need to let your emotions out. Write a letter. If you're really upset, this is what I used to do. I'd write a letter to my ex. Everything. I wanted to say everything. Blankety blank this, blankety blank that, and then I would burn the letter. And it actually helped release a lot of the anger and the destruction that caused within me. And I didn't have to share it with anyone. I just wrote it out and I burned it. Helps a lot. Will fasting slow down my metabolism, says Victoria? No, it'll speed it up. For every 24 hours you fast, a hard dry fast is no water or food or contact with water. A soft dry fast, you can touch water but don't drink water and don't have food. those will increase your metabolism by 1 to 3% for over a period of 8 to 10 weeks. So no, it does not slow you down. When you fast, all that energy goes straight into other parts of your body to healing, because your digestive system isn't consuming food. The digestive system is the system that works the most. And so when you give it a rest, all that energy can go elsewhere, your cardiovascular, your respiratory, your whatever, heals bad things. So it's really good. Look it up. We have to stick with the manosphere like feminist women stick them to each other. We just have to be with each other. We have to help each other and help spread our stories. Even the laws don't change in favor of men. Don't trust it. They will always move the goalpost to favor the female. We live in a very litigious society. We live in a society where 3 digits in your phone call can ruin your life. So be very, very careful, people, with whom you associate, both men and women. Once a woman breaks up, trust can never be restored again. No, it cannot. Watch videos about women who break up to ride the CC. She's done. Is done. She belongs in the street. Once your trust is broken, I would never trust again, ever. I mean, I wouldn't even trust, like, they would order me a hamburger. I mean, I don't have the trust. I got to move on. To me, they're dead. There's no relationship there. Yeah, they can apologize. Great. They can apologize for what they did, but that doesn't make my trust come back. Apologies are bullshit. Actions speak louder than words. What's your opinion about Rollo Tomassi? I read his book. I don't really have a lot of opinion. I mean, he's married with, and he's part of the manosphere, that he's got his team. I really don't get involved. I like men that help other men be on purpose, that steer them away from potential calamities, that if they're speaking one thing, they live the other. So those are my thoughts. I don't have anything against him. I read his book. Parts of it I agree with, parts of it, I find interesting, and that's it. I don't watch any of his channel. I did watch a couple episodes, I don't know, a year ago. They were okay. But again, you have to walk the walk and talk the talk, or talk the talk and walk the walk. That's just me. Don't quit, persevere. Women will brainwash your kids to make you the bad guys. You have to be strong and wait for your kids to seek the truth. Yes. And it might take months or years. MGTOW Cowboy from Chicago in the house. We're doing great now that you're here. What percent of women over 40 in your area would you say are fat? 70%. Camel Toe, the politician who went to horizontal so her career can get vertical. Jericho Green, I like Jericho Green. Willie Brown she went from horizontal to vertical. Inuit people, is that what the term is? Gotcha. What's your rad? What am I watching rad on a Saturday morning? The boy Kent. I don't know where you're at, but you got to be some. Oh, where are you from? I remember where you're from, the boy Kent. Rad, you put in more time towards courting your wife? Yes, I did, and just living life. If you put in more time towards courting your wife and just living life and having not marriage kids with her, would her true nature come out soon, or no choice but 20 years with her? Her true nature would eventually come. I think if we never had kids, we would have probably been divorced in the first 3 years. That's my opinion. George P. Hey, Rad. How should we treat women that we interact with every day? Cordial, professional. That's it. Do not ask about their personal lives, ever. Do not compliment them on how they look. If they helped you on a project, say, thank you so much for helping me and answering the emails to so-and-so customer. If they ask you about life, keep it short. Oh, life's going great. I'm having a great day, and I can't wait to get on this new project. Keep it all about work. Trust me. Female will always turn the man's kids against the father. I can't disagree with that. Female nature is worldwide. Yes, guys, there's no place you can hide. Intermittent fasting and changes in diet will both help. Yes, I have found intermittent fasting to literally reverse lots of things. My health is better. more energy. I lift stronger. It's just wonderful. Fasting is a wonderful health technique. And again, you can't eat pepperoni pizzas every day, but throw an avocado, grill up some chicken, have some broccoli, some asparagus. You can have a donut hole every now and again. Who cares? I mean, I drink Diet Mountain Dew a lot. I don't care, but I balance it. Moderation in all things. Well said, Saifu. If you have a girlfriend or you're married, you are being controlled and she doesn't love you at all. I think that's truth for a majority of relationships, Jerron. You're not saying anything out of the normal, that's for sure. That's what we talk about. The return on investment seems to be very, very low, if not none. Help me out. My ex had mystery phone records the 3 months prior to leaving. 500 minutes talking on the phone the first month, 900 and over 1,000. Well, she wasn't talking to you. She was talking to someone giving her attention. Simple as that. And those are the cold, hard truths to really, really understand. Or she was talking to an attorney. Or I don't know if you guys are married. For legal advice. Overnight texting an out-of-state number. Was she cheating? If she wasn't physically cheating, she could be emotionally or mentally cheating, which happens all the time now. Litigious. Yeah, I can't say that very well. Prone to sue. MGTOW Cowboy from Chicago. Money flow is in the house. Good to have you. Hello, Rolly from Ecuador. Good vibes to you. Red Man, you get your ass. She was emotionally, if not physical. Yep, I would agree. She would definitely, somebody had her ear emotionally or physically. Simple as that. Remember, she's not yours. It's just your turn. Is Rolo more off because he's kept a woman married for 20 plus years? I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe they're really good friends. Maybe they have an open relationship. Maybe they've struggled and we just don't know about it. But hey, they're together and have a kid and working out. Good for them, right? Good for them. Overseas are about citizenship and money. Then use your kids to get what they want. She was talking to her grandmother about the sick water bottle. I bet she was. Or Bitcoin. She's talking about crypto. I'm not surprised that female nature is universal. Damn right it is. Times are getting tough, says Saifu. There are no longer places to run to, only places to run from. Think about that. There's no places to run to, only to run from. I love intermittent fasting. I eat too much Granny Smith apples. I also love sour strings and Nutter Butter cookie. Well, your physique looks good. Who cares? It's okay. These bodybuilders in the gym, they're so absolutely, they weigh their food. You know what? You can eat 80% solid. You can have a burger on the weekends. Maintain balance with exercise, intermittent fasting, and healthy food choices. Simple as that. Keep eating those. Everything in moderation is the name of the game. X called me last week saying my 9-year-old son didn't want to come with me. Wow. Did he really say that? If I wanted to sign away parental rights, she wouldn't take child support. I picked him up. He was excited. Yeah. There you go, guys. Right there. Right there. That's reality. Trust is like a fresh sheet of paper, smooth and perfect till you crumple it into a ball. Sure, you could flatten it out, but it'll never be the same after. Well said, Lord Spawn. Good to have you. Or it's painting over wood with nail marks. You can put in spackling into a wood or a wall, but there's still a hole that's covered up. Trust. It's not the same wall is not the original wall. Fresh sheet of paper, but I do like that analogy. I also love the word litigious. X, trust not the silly skate, for she is litigious. Litigious. Have you always been lean, or were you heavy? Oh, geez, I was 30 pounds heavier when I was married. Oh, yeah. And I've gotten back into shape. I feel stronger and healthier and more energy than I ever have been. And that was about a year after I really got into it. I lost about 10 pounds the first month, 7 the next, and then I just maintained it ever since. But yeah, no, I let myself go. Mental clarity is another great benefit of fasting. You really concentrate because you're not, all that energy from your guts going to your brain. It's going somewhere. White women equals brown women equals all women. They're all beautiful and will F you over. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Blue pill men are dangerous. Be careful about what you say, what they say about you. Keep silent outside. Stay strong mentally and physically. Never speak unless you're spoken to, is what my dad would always say. Right? You could wave or say hello, but never speak unless you're spoken to. He who speaks first loses. That is the number one rule in negotiation. So the Stoic men are spoken to. They maintain a level of power and confidence. And they also know their lip can get them in trouble. Parental alienation is a true sign of scumbaggery. It's a delusion, guys. My ex-wife thought the kids were her prizes that she had won at a carnival. Think about that. Bye-bye and let that money sit. Hold it like my girl for 5 to 10, then drop that biatch and spend all the money I made. Yeah, crypto's good, but there's a little bit of a hype too, Jaron. The only way, until it's being more accepted, more merchants. I know PayPal's using it. I know there's other places you can use it, but it's definitely been a good investment for me, and it'll be interesting to see. Right now, I can only, it's tough to have the network to use it on a daily basis, but I think more banks and places are beginning to accept some form of payment through crypto. But it's also, unless they have a crypto to crypto, integration, a lot of it goes crypto to US dollar. So then the US dollar kind of dominates that transaction. But yeah, it's definitely gaining. Hold it. No one to hold them, no one to fold them. 5% boyfriend is ideal for men. Agree? Jeremy Bailey in the house. Your president is over here in my hometown having his G7 meetings with Boris. Is Boris a feminist blocking our little Rose up with his motorcade? I don't respect liberal-minded Democratic men. They're weak men. Weak. Sorry, real men are strong. Real men build and create and do not use their emotions to move their agenda. Well said, Jeremy. Traditional conservatives are extremely dangerous. They say good sounding things, but they are lying. There's truth to that. If you think about it, maybe all men should have an open relationship. No reason for any man to cheat then. Men want physical affection as their primary reason to be with women. Well, I think open relationships were a thing of our ancestry. Thousands and thousands of years ago, there was no such thing as commitment. Man spread his seed to maintain his generation and his posterity. Then women nurtured him. Maybe. Again, the construct of institutionalized romance and marriage is new. It's not through, Cleopatra days. It's not through Caesar days. So think about that. Lisa Smith, why is being faithful so taboo to this younger generation? Don't they like stability? I think that they've seen their parents marry, if not once, twice, 3 times. I think they've seen so many breakups, guys coming in and out of the house with the mom that divorced the dad 28, 30 years ago. I really think it's being programmed into their brain. Look at all the celebrities breaking up. The people they like. Some of these kids love the Kanye West. And then find out Kim Kardashian's married been 4 times. There's no such thing as being faithful. What's faithful? That's a song by Journey, but Faithfully, right? It is taboo. They know that they don't have to really, a lot of these boys especially are emotional. So you're absolutely right, Lisa. Very well said. They must not like stability because they were probably unstable going back and forth between their parents' homes in the 80s and 90s. If you're a lookalike is Jason Statham, then your ex lookalike would be good one. Another Mysterio question. What is her name? Tia Leone. David Duchovny's ex-wife. There's a reason I only do friends with benefit. No one can cheat on anyone that way. Well, you're just protecting everything, you know? There's a lot of risk in long-term relationships. Jeremy, I'm with you 100%, my friend. 100%. I had no problem with Trump. Trump never apologized. Yes, was he wacky at times? Yes. But he called his people out, and yeah. I wish that we had Trump right now. And it's not because he was stronger. I mean, look at these three countries now: Iran, Korea, and Russia. Or is it Iran, North Korea, China, and Russia, floating their brigades towards the United States and Venezuela? That didn't happen very much with Trump. It's not all. People were afraid of the USA. They were afraid that Trump would, which he did. And now Biden is seen as a total puss, right? Crypto is slowly going mainstream. I'd say by 20, it'll be a house name. Keep holding. Oh, I'm not touching it. That was never my intention. Body fat. Some of these gals are just, fat is not attractive. I used to be a Tradcon, then I went through a catharsis and became MGTOW. You're working on yourself, man. So that's all that matters. It's great. Men going their own way means multiple things to multiple people, but in the end, it means you're chasing excellence. You're putting yourself first because you know that you're the only one that you can not let down. You're your best enemy or your best friend. Red Mind, don't worry, it's the most exciting thing that's happened around here in a long time. We've got red arrows display, so I'm looking forward to that. Interesting. Selfishness and entertainment overrides stability. Well said. MGTOW makes me tingle. Ghost Princess, you're probably onto something with that. A lot of people never experience trust. They watch their parents remarry several times and do not understand the base concept. That's why I say, like, guys that remarry, it's like, and the reality is most of them divorce. And so now the kids they've gone through the parents' divorce, their biological parents. Now they've seen their both parents divorce again. They give up. They're like, marriage doesn't work. Bottom line. If you were to write a book, what would it be on? For me, I would write something in the vein of TV Private Eyes like Mannix or Remington Steele. I would write a book on Bigfoot. Now, that's no joke. I would write a book that Bigfoot is basically can hip hop between dimensions, and that's why that Bigfoot generation is hardly seen, and that nobody can take pictures because they can jump between dimensions. That's what would be my book on, and I'm still thinking about it. Loyalty doesn't exist in most relationships. Shit tests are immature and are just being used to justify the discard and their monkey branching. Well said. Ed in the house, Rad, I'm getting tired of thinking of that ex-woman in the past few days. My mind keeps bringing her in my thoughts. I really don't care anymore, but don't know why it keeps coming in. Well, there's still a chemical addiction between you and her. Accept it, acknowledge it. The best thing that I did was I wrote my pros and cons list, and every time she popped in my mind, I would read that list. And I have to remind myself the fantasy of who I married was not the reality of who she became or I became. But since I was thinking about her, I had to look at the reality of who she became. I hope that helps. It helped me a tremendous amount. From an evolutionary psychology perspective, we are a tournament species, not a pair bonding species. Well said. Modern culture is on a screen and ephemeral. Kids have not experienced anything long-term or direct. They can't talk to people. Everything is hidden behind a processor and a memory card. Shit signs are a sign of insanity, says Lord Swan. I worked with Tia Leone on Madam's Secretary. Yeah, my ex-wife looked like Tia Leone. Very attractive woman. Same with Tia. I wonder why that marriage didn't work out with her and David Duchovny. If Republicans were great, why have they been dislodged by liberals? Why not just have one party in the USA? Huh? It just flips back and forth. Because sometimes logic is more important than emotions, and emotions are more important than logic, and that's what happens. Don't underestimate the power of emotional thinking and emotional branding within the population of voters. People will believe anything. I guess that's why our parents made us go outside and play so much growing up. They didn't want to raise couch potatoes with their hands out for something they can get for themselves. You know, I think about that, Lisa. Very good that you said that. It's hard to get my boy out. I have to actually physically make him go out. I'll be like, you're getting your ass out. We're riding bikes. We're going to lift weights. We're going to do something. We didn't have screens growing up. We had a screen. It was one screen. It was a black and white TV. Or we had Atari. I remember when Pong. You guys remember Pong? There's only one game. And you just push the ball between two like bricks. One was the opposing. But we didn't have that crap. You know what? We had to read books if we were bored and sitting on a couch. And we all hated reading books. So we had to get out. We had to explore. We had to talk. There was no such things as, there were very few incels or, you know, what's the other, loners. I didn't even know what autism was until later in life. In fact, probably in the 90s, anxiety was not an issue back then. People had to move. I think the more people are stationary and watch screens, the more anxiety goes to the roof, the more lack of horrible communication, the more loneliness they are. Guys, technology is great. It helps us communicate, but it's also a very, very dangerous piece of our world that can destroy people. Very well said, Lisa. Trump can run for Congress in 2022. I saw that. If he wins the seat and Republicans take over the House, he becomes the speaker, then his first act could be, there you go. I've heard that conspiracy as well. Impeaching Jim Crow and Camel Toe. If it works, he can finish out the remainder of the term and Trump can still run. I have heard that. We used to have one party, it was called the Christians. As soon as people left God, the demons of the French Revolution reared their heads. Sin and vice became freedom and liberty. Well said. Well said. I must be lucky. Mom and dad stayed together till death did them part. They had a respect about them that made them continue. Good for them. My parents are still married too, but it's a different generation. You know, my parents didn't have the greatest marriage growing up. God, they fought all the time. But they've withered through 6 kids and multiple grandkids, and they've made it. And more power to them. And half of their kids are divorced. Rad, you have great insight. Do you have any buds that are cops or private eyes? You would make a great one just based on your insight. You would have nailed OJ to the crime. Oh, geez. I just think my experience is just, you know, what I've been through has really woken me up. Really woken me up. And, you know, it's important to share with each other. How did we get through life? I mean, look at Ed. Look at Charles D.C. Look at who else? Cheaper groceries. We all have challenges and battles, and we need to support each other. It's as simple as that. And we don't pay money for this. Oh, that drives me nuts. I'm a millennial raised by boomers, lots of outdoor time growing up. Unfortunately, my ex-wife was raised similar, but she still left, and they all supported her for breaking her vows. Isn't that interesting? Well, that's just the narrative of life, Red Mind Man. Oprah pushes it. Look, Oprah never got married. She's not married to that one dude. You know, celebrities are divorcing like nobody's business. It's the narrative. If you're unhappy, get out. Eat, pray, love. Speaking of remarriage, my father remarried 6 months after his first divorce. His second wife cheated on him. So my buddy just got remarried 4 months after a 30-year marriage. Shake my head. I like Trump, but as a woman, I can't safely pee in a Trump facility because he decided to open the doors to any random guy claiming to be female. I want women-only spaces, to be honest. Well, you make a good point. the reality is I agree with what Trump did. Now, I don't agree with the fact that a guy that hey, I'm a female. I look like a man, but I identify as female. I go and be a pervert. And that's going to happen. But what made that happen? See, you can't have equality until you don't. I believe that this whole transgender, I mean, not being able to compete, they have them compete. They've allowed this narrative to run its course. So if they don't let a biological man who converted legally and physically to a female compete, now they're discriminatory. And that is the only basis, regardless of what these people have become or what they're trying to prove, it's just the discriminatory aspect of it all. And that is why I think that, you know what, if you're going to make your bed, you're going to sleep in it. That's reality. But yeah, I would be very cautious of men identifying as female going into bathrooms and causing serious issues. Yeah, that's still definitely a factor. Pros and cons list is interesting. Yes, write them down. 5-1, guaranteed cons to pros. What do you talk to your mom or aunts about when you visit? My mom just asked me about life and the kids, and I ask them about their life. I have a better respect and friendship with my parents now. You know, they don't support me. They haven't supported me since I was 17 when I left the house, and they respect me. So they talk my parents at the point, they talk a lot about their childhoods and how they grew up with my grandmas and grandpas, and I learn a lot of genealogy type stuff. So it's very interesting. B King, have you seen any videos on women with borderline BPD, you mean? And in relation to the comments are always full of BPD women defending each other's horrible action. Well, that's just reality. That's what happens. Birds of a feather flock together. Understand BPD, understand the signs of it, and be very, very careful. Recon Plain, I like walking around the forest with a hatchet. I like walking around the forest with a long knife where I can whittle sticks and cut like a plant if I need to. Sam Mendez in the house, good to have you. Growing up on Vancouver Island, it was really hard to be bored with everything you could do outside. Vancouver Island, how about Victoria? Busch Gardens. We went out there when the kids were young. We used to go up to Whistler every summer. Spend a week. Love that place. Beautiful. Sea to Sky Highway. Beautiful. So if the Republicans ruled in the 80s and in the early 90s, then that era was based on logic and not emotion, right? So right now, USA-wise, you're all in emotional age. Yes, I mean, look at the technology was a logical step forward for humanity, the microprocessor, the PC. I'll throw something out here. WordPerfect. Who remembers WordPerfect? Technology has its pros and cons. I don't have a TV, and I invited family over, and they couldn't believe it. I said, let's talk and have fun with it. And interesting you say that. I don't have a TV, and all the people that are coming, where's your TV? TV is has very little intellectual content. It's just a way to tune out. Do I watch a couple shows? Sure. I only watch like 2 shows, but I don't have a TV. I don't have cable. I typically watch on the computer and I speed them up. I love being outside. Some people can't believe it. My ex-wife has BPD nightmares. Yeah. You're not alone. Rad had his eyes opened by multiple divorce court red pills. Yes. You do not, guys, you do not want to go to a divorce court. Just mark my words. Ask John Boston. Ask Trump. Ask the people in that have been through it. You do not want to be there. Don't worry about the money. It's what can happen with a guy or a gal sitting in a black robe. They don't like you. Your life's over. Or it could be severely disabled, especially with kids. I Am God is in the house. That's why we had bicycles and soccer balls and shit like that. I'm just 21, but I swear these kids are screwed. Yeah, we played sports all the time growing up. Me and my brother would go out, and he was a year older. We'd go climb trees, and then we'd go out to this one lake. We'd make boats out of wood. And we'd sit on the boats for like 3 hours trying to catch sunfish. And we'd have like a big old with nachos, and we just hang out, just me and him, get sunburned, come home, need aloe vera. Mom would give us aloe vera. Oh, you got some, you're 10 and 11 years old. We'd ride our bikes 3 miles, launch the raft that we would hide in the trees, and then literally hang out there trying to catch sunfish. And we loved it. We still talk about it this day. And then, the house would be being built down the street, and we jump out of the second story window onto the dirt pile, 10 feet. And my mom would be like, just don't break your leg. She didn't care. That's what you did. You rode your bike on highways and picked up glass. And then you took the glass home and you thought you found an agate or an arrowhead. But you got out and you did things. And now it's a shit show. Sorry to hear about that. It's too bad your ex's relations didn't encourage her to stick to her vows instead of walking away. Guys, it's so easy right now just to break your commitments. So easy. And you'll get everyone behind you to say, oh my gosh, you go, girl. Hey, you deserve better. Who hurt you? Just the narrative. Truly think my parents' generation was the last generation of our culture. I would agree. I do have a theory that some of these kids will probably try to maintain a marriage to prove everyone wrong, but eventually male and female nature will conflict. B. King, my condolences. Very difficult to put up with. We are supporting our brethren in here. Uber Mensch is in the house. Good to see you, brother. Sam Mendes, thumbs up now, peeps. Thank you, brother. Everyone like and share this live stream. Shout out to everyone in here. I am God. You are God. God is closer than your arms and your feet. He is within. Yes, them not supporting the relationship was the biggest shock. That happened to me. My mother-in-law told me that my ex-wife should have divorced me a lot sooner. Who says that? Ghost Princess, the idea that women wanting legal equality under the law is the same as biological equality is a non-argument. It's strictly been men changing laws to take away women's only spaces, not women's backs. The idea that women want legal. I don't know. I got to think about that. The only thing I'm saying is there's a movement that does not coincide. They're equal until they're not. Now, what is the solution? I'm not trying to say that women's only spaces shouldn't exist, but it sure seemed like, a lot of women are now infiltrating Boy Scouts or infiltrating all sorts of men type arenas, that it should go the other way as well. But is that safe? I'm not saying it's safe or not safe. I'm just saying those are the facts. But men are part of changing those lives. I would agree. There's more men in Congress than women. What do you identify as? Attack helicopter. I am a squirrel looking for a nut. But what would I be? Like military? I'd be like one of those knives that has like a compass on the top, and inside of it, like it's got matches and a flint and steel and like a snake bite kit. That's what I identify as. Helicopters crash. Claiming to be a masculine presenting transgender lesbian shouldn't be a pass to prey on women. I would agree. I mean, look, there's sick people out there. I would agree. However, I don't agree with the fact that equality exists until it doesn't. If this is wrong, then it should go both ways. Men can't compete in women's sports and go into women's bathrooms and vice versa. And then that's going to open a whole new can of worms. This is what these feminists and liberals wanted. They wanted equal rights. Now they're getting equal rights in regard. Yeah, absolutely. Be careful what you ask for, because you will get it 100%. And that is why I'm saying you're only equal to you're not. Now, feminists are equal to everyone until there's a fire and they got to be carried out of the house, until there's a war, until a check comes at dinner. Then the man has to pay. Very rare has a feminist woman offered to pay half of her bill. Ever. I think it happened one time. So you're absolutely right, Jerome. And that's the argument I'm making, Ghost Princess, and not the fact that it's wrong. That men are invading and identifying and lying and being delusional to get in and be perverted in women's bathroom. I'm saying then they need to make laws that say that's not right, but they haven't. And so men are going along with the lines of, hey, if you women can come in our male bathroom. I've seen transgendered women to men in my bathroom. Do I have a problem with them? No. But it can't go other ways. Now, we had an office where my operating officer, we had a transgender on staff. She became a he. She became a they. Is that the new term? And he demanded his own bathroom to a cost of $70,000. And my chief operating officer, you know what he said? No, we're going to put a lock on the door. So when you go in the man's bathroom, you need to lock the door. And that's what they did for $5. They put a lock on. But this transgender was demanding, she became he, his own bathroom. That's wrong too. You know, now they want their own bathroom, but I don't understand it. If you are going to be if you're a she that wants to be a he, you become a he. If you're a he that wants to become a she, you be a she. Let's see. I have a great life ahead of me no matter what, whether I live to 53 or 97. Hell yeah, we do, Mysterio. I bet Rad identifies as an excellent seeking king. What did I say I was? I identify as a squirrel looking for a nut. I haven't watched TV since 2000. I didn't even have cable. Jeez, I haven't had cable for years. And I probably haven't watched it for 10 years, like religiously. I think I last really watched it when Lost was on. I think that was 2004 to 2010. My TV is plugged into my PC. WordPerfect was the word processing software we used. WordPerfect. Remember, it went away. But it competed with Word, Microsoft Word, which eventually won. You don't even want mediation after a simple breakup with kids involved. Oh, mediation is a shit show too. Guys, stay out of marriage and divorce. It is not worth it. So I guess if a woman takes antidepressant meds, no point in getting involved with them, right? I would say that's a red flag to me. It means they can't handle. I mean, there's some legit cases where they need antidepressants, but it's been so frequently prescribed and so easy to get, and it's just an escape. But it doesn't really work in the end because they have to mine went on it. They have to constantly keep increasing doses. But I just get tired of hearing, you wanted equality? Literally, no, never. I have never been a feminist. Legally, equality is not by. Well, you're a rare one, Ghost Princess. But most women, not the 1% to 2% that I talk about that are decent and good, want equality. So, that's the problem. I never asked for biological equality. Most women do not want this, according to all opinion. Women want men to stay out of bathroom. I mean, I would agree. I don't want some transgender going where my daughter, or even my ex-wife, for hell's sake. But we have to figure out how to move as a nation. So if they don't want that, then we don't want it on our side, and they need to pass some law. And they need to throw the equality shit out the window, because now equality doesn't work. Now it's called discrimination. I don't have cable, just YouTube vids, watch Superman and Lois the Flash. That's it pretty much, and that's on it. You know what? The last show I watched was the Mandalorian with the little Yoda. I thought that was good. I really I kind of like I was 5 years old when I went to the very first Star Wars. I remember that because it was 1977. And I was really scared of when Hans and Luke were in the trash compactor and there was that snake swimming around. Remember that snake? It scared the dickens out of me. And I still remember that scene today. 5 years old. I agree with equality, not feminism. Some hairy Italian guy. Me too. My brothers built a zip line in our backyard growing up. Lots of neighbor kids hung out there. Such a blast. God, we had tree forts and all that stuff, Lisa. It was great. You just spent hours. We'd swim in a pool, above ground pool for 3-4 hours, get sunburnt till the cows came home. We'd eat hot dogs. We'd be in the pool. We'd eat hot dogs, and then the hot dogs get all soggy. We'd still eat them. We'd jump off. We try to jump off the roof. We try to put a ramp up with the bike. I mean, we got creative and kids have lost that today. Kids have lost that. You don't need cable, just get only internet and use something like Pluto. Yeah, I agree. YouTube's where it's at. Sandra Bullock or Nicole Kidman, who's hotter? I like that redhead Nicole Kidman though. Something about her Australian looks. I mean, Sandra's great too, but I still think Nicole was hot in Days of Thunder. Let's see, Sandra Bullock, but I like brunettes better. Few taps on her phone, and she got her affair. That's happening to a lot of people. Big Top Cowboy agrees with Rad. I take them both, man. I would like the legal equality to work, own property, and have representation in the law, but I would not like spiteful men in Congress to change laws to allow men to crown me. And that's not what we're saying. Like, yeah, we would agree with that. I mean, people say, should we revoke voting rights? No. Should women have the opportunity to earn money? Yes. Should women have the opportunity to buy homes? Yes. I don't care about that. I care about somebody telling me my gender role is equal to your gender role. That's feminism. No. There is a substantial difference between the man and the woman should not demand from the man delusional aspects of life. Men are masculine, women should be feminine. That's how I roll. Feminists are very masculine in their thinking. And women should not go into men's spaces either. There you go. Right. I have no problem with that. But if society and the feminist Duluth model is pushing for equality, then they can't have it both ways. That's all we're saying. Now, is it dangerous? Is it scary, sketchy that a man could potentially be in your bathroom? Absolutely. So what should they do? Maybe they should have a third bathroom. But then you're going to be like, what about the man that, identifies as like a Bruce Jenner? He's probably not, the Jenner, not going to want to go in. He probably is going to want to go in a woman's bathroom. I worked with Nicole Kidman in The Undoing. I was sitting behind her in a court scene, very tall statue that smelled of book. Oh, I think she's very gorgeous. Jaron, what kind of acting do you do? Those born between 1960 to 2000 are the ones that will be tricky to be with women, women-wise, if you don't vet strongly. Yeah, I'd agree. I just think it's bad for women to invade men's sports team and vice versa. It's weird and spiteful and vindictive and bizarre. Like, why do people want this? It's so creepy. No, it's the narrative. It's the narrative that's going on. And it's not helping, is it? I'm glad you can see that. If a girl pays on a date, it's not a date to her unless the man pays. She doesn't consider a date. Her time and her attention has pecuniary value, and the man is expected to pay for it. Yes. I pay for most dates, and they're cheap, $10 a plate if I go. The male spaces and female spaces are now called safe spaces, even for guys. Deep sea dive in old naval pirate ships or parachute from a plane. Deep sea dive for me. I would have said if I had to do it all over again, I'd be a Jacques Cousteau, looking for gold, treasures in the ocean from the pirates. All bathrooms should just become unisex. Maybe that's where it's going. I just checked the description of the video. It does not say a man's only channel. Also, Rada said it's fine for women to be here several times. Yes, I have no problem with women in this, as long as there's respect between everybody. Everyone has an entitled to an opinion. You know what nobody ever talks about is the parents that push divorce and help fill out paperwork. The parents of young couples are pro-divorce now. It's weird. When did it change? It's the narrative. It's in the water. It's in TV shows. It's in Cosmopolitan and Oprah and Ellen DeGeneres and you name it. It's everywhere. Friends, neighbors, coworkers, divorce. I think divorce is the nastiest word ever. I think it's worse than any swear word. I hate that word. Okay, I think it's because millennials are too timid and inexperienced to make their own decision, and you have overbearing parents like mine that tell them what to do. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I see a lot of guys that just need to grow a pair. I think literally, they say testosterone is decreased by 40% in young men today. 40%. That's why they're so emotional, crybabies. Most people say stop complaining of your breakup, but to tell you the truth, I just want to erase the problem in my brain. Don't know what more to do. We hate to lose. Yes, you invested so much, you just got to read your list. Every time you feel sad, you read that list, read that list, read that list. Remember, the fantasy of who she was is not the reality of who she became. I feel that way too. I was thinking this the other day, actually, says Ghost Princess. Like when my parents tell me what to do, they can rest assured I will do the exact opposite, like not get a motorcycle. Yeah. Masculine thing you can do is get a motorcycle. Tom Cruise divorced Nicole just before the deadly 10-year mark. He paid her $5 million to go away. He was a smart one. DKS 13827 in the house. He's breaking all the stereotypes. Most times you just have to let people figure out things out on their own. I say most because there are things I would be overbearing about if I had kids. Though there's a fine line you walk between being too overbearing and letting your kids be independent and make mistakes. We as kids drove bike ramps into pools, rode dirt bikes, mopeds, and played sports. We were inside playing video games when raining. That's what we were like. Which gender do you think is more prone to depression and why? I just Googled it. Women. Yes, I would say that without any, it's just reality. It's the emotions. He's a real Italian American from The Departed. Anyone can be depressed, Mysterio. I think it's more prevalent in women, though. Nicole, redheads are peak female beauty, but you can't change my mind if you try. I worked as an extra. Cool, man. Love to hear some of those stories. People these days are just way too uptight about other people accepting them. This is what causes all this crap. People got to do what makes them happy first and foremost. Do you do much paperwork for your job, or is it phone calls and setting up? Phone calls. Emails. Not a lot. Dating is no longer about getting to know the other person. It's about figuring out what you can take without consequences. Very well said. If a woman is going to be a cop, should they not be almost bodybuilder physique? Women's bodies are much different than men. And a woman that's a bodybuilder loses her muscle a lot more quicker. No, I mean, look, if she wanted to be a female cop, go be a female cop, but understand that if she gets in an argument with a man could overpower her real quickly. Anyone notice that all the commercials lately have SOM? I haven't seen a lot of commercials, Saifu. Chili Sentenza, do not argue with women, still have a lot of blue pill hair. Don't argue with anyone, not even a man if a man. Just set your boundaries and walk. I like redheads, especially ones with freckles. There's some good looking redheads. Saifu have women in them. If a man is there, he is a fool and big. Well, he's basically presented to be a Homer Simpson. So you're absolutely right. Saifu, it doesn't matter provided they can pass the physical fitness. Yeah, if they can pass it, but I don't think we should change the guidelines. They should do exactly what men can do and women can do. Right? I mean, the WNBA, the court is shorter and the 3-point line is shorter, and I think the basketball net is shorter with a smaller ball. How can they compete with a man's game? You are 100% correct about parents helping push for divorces. It's angering. I've personally dealt with this. I was dumb enough to trust my ex. Never trust anyone but yourself. I mean, sometimes you can't even trust your own parents. My mother did this to me. She tried to get me to divorce my husband because he was too old, in her opinion. Are you still? You're probably still married, right? What kind of parents do people have these days? When my sister got divorced, my parents were pissed at her for it. Well, most parents today, a lot of the women want to be best friends with their tweens and teenagers. That's the reality. In the movie Starship Troopers, they made the men and women share barracks on that movie. I remember that. Women are more prone to depression because of our hormonal changes. Women on birth control sterilize themselves, and this has caused a sharp increase of about 80% in depression. I would agree with that. 100%. Yeah. My only pet peeve about women is that I like to cook. A few of them have always felt like they had to cook most of the time. I like to cook too. And I clean my dishes and keep my house clean. My mother was a state trooper. She had her teeth smashed in by a 2x4 and was raped. Jeez. She worked in undercover narcotics, and as a state trooper, her life was lived serving TV ideals. Damn. Sorry to hear that. It's a tough gig. She was miserable most of the time trying to be a feminist dream. Wow. Well, that's what happens. A man will overpower a woman in a lot of ways. Women are fine competing against themselves. I was captivated by a women's tennis match yesterday. Why do you need to be in my space? I would agree. I like watching women's volleyball. And women tennis is fine. I don't have a problem, but I don't watch WNBA. I wouldn't watch softball. What the hell would I watch football? But yeah, there's some things which great. But I agree with Saifu. Let them compete against themselves. What's wrong with that? Did she end up shooting the assailant? Sometimes I wish police would find these types of people and leave them in a ditch. Did you ever see the show Dexter? Watch Dexter. Redheads are either totally hot or totally not, little in between. 100% agree with that statement. Most rapists go free. My mother's attacker is no exception. When the death penalty was lifted for rape, a lot of chaos was unleashed. This was nearly a century ago. Jeez. Has she changed her mind about equality and feminist dreams now that she has gone through that? I'm curious. Remember, guys, never trust anyone if it's been broken. It's really hard to believe that, and we all have that little light in us that wants to, but that's the reality, right? Reality is once trust is broken, it's never to be restored. And if you really think about it, you really think about it. Ashley Richards is in the house. She should have tracked them down and finished them like that movie Sudden Impact. Or a Jason Statham movie, the last one, The Wrath of Man. He hunted down his kid's killer. Or even Taken, Liam Neeson. I think if you had people like Paul Kersey, crime rates would go down. What's too old of an age range between women and men for LTRs? I think 40 years is too much, probably. Well, that'd be a 70-year-old with a 30-year-old. I've seen them. But yeah, I'd say 25 would be the max for me. 75 and a 50-year-old, or 60 and a 35-year-old. So that is where we're at today. Guys, it's been great. Remember, you cannot restore trust regardless of the relationship if it has been broken. Relationships that are romantic or LTRs are broken with other people giving attention. Saifu, I was raised as an egalitarian. If a woman is physically capable, she had no problem with me no matter what the job. It's just, well, Martin Luther King. The person with the most merit got the job. The person that was stronger or more athletic or whatever. It was all based on merit. If the woman was faster and stronger than the man, she got the position, right? As long as you are both over 18, when I'm 65 and long, I'm going to Thailand. My stepmom was also a cop. Interesting. Chicago PD must have been gnarly with all those Polish gangs. Me and my husband are still married. It'll be 13 years this August. We are still married because of our faith in Jesus. Statistically, it seems marriages in the faith are lasting longer nowadays. You definitely have a good opportunity to maintain that, and I congratulate you on not jumping into the Eat, Pray, Love movement and putting a Christian love and a faith in Jesus between you. There's nothing wrong with that. I think if a marriage can be maintained, as 1% to 2% can, good. Good for you. You should be proud of yourself and him. And there should be different roles and respect. What do you think of the 60s Spider-Man cartoon? I loved it as well. My heart goes out to her. It's not an easy job for women. Peace out to you guys. You guys have been great. Listen, till Sunday, remember, chase excellence, men first, and, well, hold on. What is the safe haven in the house? Rad shoots and never misses. Oh, I miss. What is the Eat, Pray, Love movement? Is that like the chicken soup for the soul? No. Check. It's Julia Roberts. Just go look at Eat. It's the gal that leaves her relationship and goes to find herself. Thank you, Lisa. Thanks, everybody. Fox Sank. You guys be well. We'll see you Sunday.